Trouble with Zoom.
Yeah, it's I've had plenty of issues.
I think it's good. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's good.
Cool.
All right. So it's
All
going
right.
to take a couple of minutes.
Yeah, that's fine.
So let me just make sure we're good. Let's see. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. All right. So a little backdrop. I seen you out there, and I can relate to the stuff that you put out there, because like a lot of people, we go through this dark night of the soul, or I should say,
Hey.
that's a plural. That's a plural, right?
Yeah.
And I saw your soul through the stuff that you put out. When I first came out, a lot of my stuff, I guess all of it had a dark element.
Yeah.
But not as a holy darkness, not as anything scary or negative.
Yeah.
But your
Yeah,
stuff,
facing your shadow.
yeah, your stuff is like just on point. And so anyway, just in the normal course of floating around and going through your day, going through my day, things are happening or being presented on a sequential manner, synchronistic, sequential.
Yeah.
Like turning a page in a book. And so I came across you and I was like, okay, let's have a chat. And then we missed each other a few times. And you gave me some information and it just reaffirmed everything. And so today, these last 3 days, of course, I'm not just saying this for myself, but you can see it out there. I mean, it's just been colossal.
Oh yeah.
I guess this is a full moon. So in fact, I think it's
full harvest moon. That's right.
Yeah, I think it's actually occurring like about 7 minutes ago. But
yeah.
So anyway, here we are, and it just happened spontaneously, which I think is the way this whole thing's going to go from here out. Yeah. It's just everything spontaneous, nothing scheduled. Just what comes up when it comes up.
Divine timing.
Yeah,
God's word.
But you have a hell of a story. I mean, I know just from the energy of it, I know some of the details, but
yeah. 1 second. I'll be right back.
Yeah, but his story, like I said, I know some of the details, but it's pretty intense. For me, what I picked up from it was somebody who wasn't in victim consciousness, wasn't on the pity pot, taking full responsibility for their life. Living every day by the moment, and getting the most out of it, and really having a really good outlook. And at the same time, you put out some amazing stuff. You really do. If y'all haven't been to his page, you should go to his page and follow him, because he's got some amazing stuff. The way you thread images with your words are just, it's very unique. So I don't know where you want to start. This is just a conversation. I know you're familiar with the show.
I think this is the best way to go about it. Natural, casual.
Yeah.
No pressure. And let's see where God takes it, where we go with it. I could tell you. I suppose, giving a little bit of a background of my story would be in order. I was born in Louisiana, and I had a very religious mom, Southern Baptist. As a child, I was very into it, and I remember I used to every day on Sundays, or every Sunday, whenever they would do the offering of prayers, I would always raise my hand, and I would always have someone in mind. You know, no, I didn't discriminate. I remember, for example, I remember seeing a homeless man sleeping on a bench, and to this day that stuck with me, you know, and I was only like 3-4 years old, and it just didn't seem right. Like I felt really, really sad for him, you know. So it started off with that, you know. And at one point in time, the preacher had told my mom that I was destined to grow up to be a healer. So there was a little bit of pressure, you know, there. But things kind of, you know, down in Louisiana where I grew up, it's very almost third world, very ghetto. And what happened to me was my innocence was shattered whenever I was molested. So, you know, growing up in that kind of environment kind of shaped me to be something that I really wasn't. You know, my dad had taught me to be very strong. He knew what kind of world, you know, environment I was growing up in. So, you know, he trained, you know, kind of trained me to be a fighter. But that, you know, fighting instinct, survival instinct was innate in me anyways. But it kind of deterred me from spirituality and religion, even though I never stopped believing in God. It just turned me to a different direction. And I grew up most of my younger years, especially my teens, very wild, very rebellious. I did a lot of drugs, got into a lot of trouble. I used to even use needles. I was an opiate addict for a few years, and paying the price for that now, even as we speak. As you know, my liver is shut down, and I'm living in a nursing home, awaiting, you know, recovering from surgery. They had to put a tube in my left lung and drain fluid out of it because the fluid wasn't being processed through my liver. So I lost my job, lost everything, you know. I didn't have Medicaid or anything like that. I'm currently working on trying to sort that whole mess out. You have to forgive me. I have a little bit of the hiccups. I had dinner a little bit ago, as you know. But so at one point in time, the turning point for me was I was in such a dark state, dark realm with my addiction to opiates that, you know, nothing seemed to work for me. Group sessions didn't work for me. And I think that there's a lot of people that can resonate with what I'm about to say, because it may work. AA, NA may work for some people, but it's not for everybody. For me, it was a relapse trigger. Most of the time, I remember sitting in circles with people, and it turned into basically war stories, you know, bragging about how much drugs a person could do, or there was always one person in the group that had to make it all about them. So I was always turned off by it. And then more than anything, it just made me want to go out and get high again. But at one point in time, I remember I was shooting up fentanyl. And I remember nodding out, and what woke me up is I had to take a breath, and a hot flash came over my forehead, and I started to sweat. And that was a signal. I always knew that when that happened, I was about to throw up. So I stepped outside, and I was hanging over the rail, throwing up. And I'm like, oh yeah, now I'm high. And then boom, it's like suddenly out of nowhere, reality hit me. And I was like, wait a minute. This is, you know, I can't believe that, you know, I couldn't believe that I'd gotten to that point. And that's when I decided to, you know, I wanted to quit. But by then I had caught a charge for sales to an undercover cop. and they sentenced me to 5 years supervised probation with a 15-year backup. And despite my efforts, I was trying to stay clean and everything, but I've always been very fond of cannabis. It was always a cure-all for me. And at the time, this stuff was bad, but me and a friend had figured out how to make the synthetic cannabinoids. And the way we had done it, it was very clean. Now, it wasn't safe though. I mean, it's not good for you. It was terrible for you. But I ended up getting in trouble for doing that. And they had revoked my probation, and I got sentenced to 15 years in prison for sales to an undercover for 3 pain pills. And during that time I spent in prison for 5 years, I got back into my artwork. I've been an artist my whole life. I self-taught. That's always been my passion. When I was growing up as a kid, I always told myself I was going to be like, I remember finding out who Leonardo da Vinci was. So a lot of my inspiration, a lot of the drive that I have for art, philosophy, science, spirituality stemmed from my mother and Leonardo da Vinci. Honestly, like not even making that up. But I always told myself, I'm going to be the next Leonardo da Vinci. So school, I don't care. I didn't care about school or anything like that. They basically had to like incentivize me to do well in school. And the only time I would ever really put any effort into it was whenever it seemed like people didn't believe in me, didn't believe that I could do it. And I remember in high school, I was 16 credits behind, and they were talking, I had the counselor and the assistant principal, my father, and even some friends telling me that maybe I should just drop out, and get my GED and yada, yada, yada. And that kind of lit a fire under me. And I took on some extra courses, graduated from high school and everything. But then, at that time I was in my teens. That's when I started getting into selling weed and getting into trouble and all that stuff. Wrong crowd. Everybody goes through that, Well, not everybody, but a lot of people go through it. Anyhow, during my time in prison, that was the big turning point where I went back to my spirituality, and I found a drive, because all my life I've seen how corrupt the system was, and not just in the United States, but all around the world. And I felt I wanted to help, change things for the better in some way, in any way that I could. And also, I guess it's the Libra in me, balance and justice. When I see something that I feel is unjust, I can't let it go. And all these things in life, I noticed how they use prison for profit.
Yeah.
And I saw how corrupt the system was, and even in my own hometown. I mean, lawyers, judges, cops, prosecuting attorneys, they were all in cahoots. They all went to the same golf club. It was all about money, So I spent all my, yeah.
No, I was just going to say, you're just a number.
Yeah, exactly. I still remember my number, 1076013. They bury it in your head, and they treat you like an animal. You're nothing but, yeah. So during that time for 5 years, I all I did was artwork, meditate, research. I read books. I actually went through and studied every cookbook in that library that they had. I grew up on food. So food and art is like my main hobby, passion. I love to cook, but not in like fast food restaurants or anything like that, but actual cooking.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. And so when I came out of prison, I was full on high vibes. I started connecting with everybody like you. I remember seeing Soulogy years and years ago, and something told me I had for some reason I was seeing several other of my friends. I can't remember his name, but he was on the podcast, and at some point in time I was like, I'm probably going to end up on this show. And here I am now, years later. I did not expect it after what had happened to me, because once again I hit a pitfall. And plus I ran into so many spiritual ego traps of my own. I started gaining all these followers. And I mean, actually, whenever I first got out of prison and started my social media presence, I was on a high vibe, and I was naive. Didn't know a whole lot about Hermeticism and all the mythologies or anything like that. So I wasn't very keen with Hermetics and tarot and astrology and all that stuff, but I was wanting to learn as much as possible. But at the same time, I didn't know about energy vampires and people that would take advantage of it. And I ended up getting trained quite a bit. And I ended up in a bad relationship that kind of just, it broke me. For 2 years I was with this person, and she, crushed me, and that's when I turned away from my spirituality again. I turned my back on it. And then I became more driven and directed towards being an anarchist and exposing, corrupt governments, corrupt police and stuff like that. And that's whenever I really became really, really involved with the Free Thought Project. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
I'm pretty familiar with Gavin Escamino and Jason Basler and all them. I've spoken to them several times. We have pretty good rapport and everything. And plus, I've gained quite a few friends, amazing people. I met some amazing people in the group, and just from, all of that. Plus, at the same time, I've always been a Tool fan. So
I love Tool.
Yeah, who doesn't, right? I mean, if you've ever heard of them. yeah.
I've seen them 3 times.
Oh yeah, I got to see them once in Texas. It was my first Tool concert. This girl that I met online through Facebook in the main Tool group, which had like over 60,000 people in it. Her name was Jennifer. She took me to my first Tool concert, and yeah, it was amazing. I mean, absolutely amazing. In fact, Paul D'Amour, one of the original members of Tool, you've heard the song "Sober," right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so
I've heard all their songs.
Yeah, so actually, that song is actually about Paul. He was an alcoholic. From what I understand, he's recovered and everything, and he's doing really well now. And he's in another band. I can't remember what the name of it is now, but yeah, he's on my friends list as well. But yeah, that still kind of kept me in the spiritual circles. And of course, being as much as I love visionary art and everything, I couldn't get away from it. It's just always been a part of me. So I ended up meeting a group of people. I started drinking a lot, and I became a bit of an alcoholic, and it really started ruining my health. And so much so that I didn't understand it. Like, I didn't think that the alcohol would have that much of an effect on me. But as it turns out, I had hepatitis. I was walking around with hepatitis, and I didn't know it for 15 years approximately. And with the alcohol, it just completely ruined my liver. And I remember going through what was basically a 2-year long dark night of the soul, And I couldn't, I tried everything. I was trying natural, melatonin to sleep, because I've always had insomnia my entire life, but I could not sleep for nothing. And my energy was just sporadic. I was having extreme mood swings. And once again, like, I always knew that I was an empath. I could feel what other people feel, almost to the point where it gets convoluted. And sometimes I couldn't even figure out if my emotions were my own. And because I had no guidance, and it was during that time, those dark days when I was drinking and everything. And I went 30 days without REM sleep. And that's when I realized, I was like, after trying everything, this was not going to be something that I could deal with just, standard medicine or, the normal. I had to reach out. And so I reached out to, actually it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm having a panic attack, and, I'm delirious. And I remember looking online, and I'm looking at all the spiritual people on my friends list. I'm like, somebody out there's got to be able to, I need to talk to somebody, something's going on. And I remember seeing Emily Davies, how you see the little green light next to their chat heads when they're online. And I messaged her, not knowing, I didn't even know she had her own YouTube channel. I didn't know that she was a tarot card reader or any of that, but I messaged her, and the next thing I know, I'm on a Zoom chat with these people, and she's got this channel, this side channel called Ascension Diaries. And that's how that all started. And it really helped me. It got me back in tune with my spirituality. They started teaching me breath work. And then that advanced even further, activating certain chakras. And then the next thing I know, almost by accident, but I don't know. It was an accident. It wasn't an accident. I can't say that, but I actually experienced what people call opening your third eye. And it was an extremely powerful experience. Now, the only other time I ever experienced anything close to that was through psychedelics. And it's ineffable. Words really can't do it justice, but we all try. that's and that's the thing. That's where it gets so convoluted, and you see all these spiritual ego clashes and everything. It's because, you have all these different takes on the truth. Each person has their own truth and has experienced these things in their own unique way, and they know it's real. But what happens is you have all these people in the spiritual communities contradicting each other. They're like, no, this is what it is. No, this is what it is. And this is how you do it. No. And, some people are, you've got all these different mythologies and mythos, Hinduism, Buddhism, Hermetics, the Kabbalah and all that. And it was very confusing. So I became what they call a pantheist. I believe in, And so I just started incorporating it all, because the one thing that I trust the most is patterns. I trust patterns. And I started noticing a pattern with all of these different ones. And then I remember back in 9/11, about 2 years after 9/11, the documentary Zeitgeist came out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that was very eye-opening for me. That was also a catalyst. And I remember in that documentary, they spoke about sun worship and how all these different religions, Christianity, and Egyptian mythology, the Atlanteans and all that stuff. And it was like, wow, okay, I see what they're talking about. You know, this is basically what it all comes down to: sun worship, you know, in a way of sorts, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember coming across this parable. It's not verbatim, about these blind monks, a group of blind monks that are going down this trail, and they stumble upon an elephant. And each one is touching the elephant and giving a different description of what this elephant is. Oh no, this is what it's like, or this is what it is. And what it is that was a parallel to all the different mythologies and spiritualities. Each one was experiencing the truth from a different angle, you know, and at the same time, you know, it's there without really truly knowing, because you're blind. You can't see it, but you can feel it in the heart. And that's why, you know, honestly, not enough credit is given to the heart chakra. That's where the truth really lies, is in the heart, you know. And that's something that I learned a lot through in Ascension Diaries, and through the wonderful people that I met in there, you know, Elaine Elizabeth, Emily Davey, Kayla, all I can go on. And we all come from different backgrounds, different countries. And it was, once again, it was another microcosm of what, you know, is going on around the world. And now, if you notice, there's more and more people becoming more spiritual, getting in tune with it, because people are seeing the signs. And not only that, finally, people are waking up to the fact that the way things are, it's just not working. It's not going to work. We can't keep going down this road. It's not sustainable. You know, you see too much division through politics, religion, even in the spiritual communities. And so I would like to think that we can get past that. I have faith that the coming together, which I remember watching one of your podcasts recently. It was a few weeks ago. I forgot her name, a dear friend of yours. And you had even touched on the fact that more and more people are coming together. And I can feel it, you know, and I'm excited about that. I'd love to see what, you know, hear what you have to say. And actually, I've never really gotten your story. I would like to learn about you as well.
Well, we can do that sometime, but I'm mesmerized. I think everybody else is too. Your energy.
I have.
And I think I do want to say that I think that the something's definitely occurring over, you know, over all this time, obviously, but very recently, you know, I've noticed it for, I don't know, 2, 3, maybe 6 weeks. The empathic ability or sensitivity is, and it can't just be me. It's through the roof. So, as I'm listening to you, I'm just I'm feeling every bit of it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I try to stick to the truth as much as possible.
I think you do. I think you stand for that. And you know, and there's, you know, I can see too right away, you know, part of the reason I resonate with you so much is I didn't go to prison, but my number was 40543 in the Houston County Jail, 34 days. That was one of a few, but
you're in the system. Once you're in there,
once you're in the system, you're in the system, and of course you have all these managers. And then you have, and then you're stigmatized. It just happened to somebody that was really close to me.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is. I mean, this is
frustrating.
You know, we're talking about a 25 and it was 0.001% of a gram of THC wax, something like that, something ridiculous, and it's a felony. You know, and it's 2 years felony probation.
Yeah.
So,
and that's how they get you too.
of course, you know, and but you know, I mean, I'm talking to somebody who did 5 years in prison in Louisiana, which has got to be a lot like Texas, and you know, that was
oh no, actually, I live in Missouri now.
oh, you're in Missouri. Well, you know, I
I jumped
guess
around with my story,
yeah,
but yeah, when I was 12, I moved to Missouri, and I've lived here for most of the rest of my life. I did live when I first got out of prison. I was in Texas for about a year and a few months. I was living in Missouri City, Texas, and I got accepted.
What year was this?
2000. I want to say 2005. No. Sorry, 2011. Yeah.
2011.
Yeah,
That's when my journey started. We were just
Really?
neighbors. I lived right down Highway 6.
Wow.
I was homeless for 2 years, but
Yeah, I ended up homeless too.
we probably
while I
went to
was
the
in
same
Port Arthur.
tool count. We probably went to the same tool concert.
Was it? Oh yeah, was it in Houston?
Yep.
Okay, wait. No way.
I swear to God, you can't make this shift up. No, he'll be back. The energy just went through the roof because of the synchronicity. He'll figure it out. So he was living in Houston right when I woke up, and I would imagine.
Wow.
There you go.
So we I guess we both kind of started this journey together.
Well, yeah. I mean, there obviously we're going to have more and more. Somebody else just said they lived off Highway 6. But yeah, I was just making the reflection that, we think that there's just one dark night of the soul or one major trauma or whatever. But
right. I know where you're going.
we've had many, and you are such a, I mean, you did. I mean, first of all, what happened to you in your childhood? Then you have, that lifestyle, and I can relate to that very much so, because when you're in that lifestyle, you do things. You're not even you. You're not even you.
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
It's a torturous existence. So just to come out of, I have no recall of sexual molestation as a child. I know I do in previous incarnations. I've had it appear too many times, but and then so you had that plus the environment, then you have the lifestyle pre-prison, then you have prison, then you have to be in the system when you come out of prison, and then you have get back, going back down that path. I've often told people that I proved in 2011, 12, 13 that you can lose your fucking mind and still find the light. It's a very strange kind of thing, and I believe you can relate to that. But anyway, so you've gone in and overcome these things and transformed over and over and over. And you're sitting here today very calm, very articulate. Your energy comes through loud and clear. You're not a victim. You're unattached, but at the same time, I can tell you're. Yeah, I can tell though you're very purpose driven, and that's pretty impressive, man. That's
Thank you.
That you just, I'm just like, so I mean, obviously, you went from Houston to Missouri. You went through the prison system. You found all these different groups. You had the wherewithal to, which I believe comes from the streets personally, at least in my own case. And I think in your case, and that is the discernment to keep on searching and not plateauing or landing on any particular frequency band, always continuing to expand.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I just got to ask you, I mean, you know, a lot of people come on the show, and I'm not taking anything away from anybody at all, but I see where we're all being taken back to the soul, to the human as a soul, you know. And some people channel, and they have, you know, different types of experiences, skills, abilities, talents, sensitivities. You just come through as pure human, like divine in the flesh.
Yeah.
How do you operate? Do you hear voices? Do you have dimensional experiences? Of course, you know, I'm talking.
I don't actually hear voices. And I don't. Okay, so I know I'm friends with psychic mediums and people who are really, really in tune with their third eye chakra, and they see things, they get visions and stuff. Now, I get visions whenever I actually activate my third eye, and especially if I've had a few experiences with activating the crown chakra. That's very, very, very powerful. But
What
yeah,
happened?
whenever that,
What happened when when you opened your third eye without hallucinogenics that you were referring to earlier?
it was.
What I mean, what were the what?
I was having a breathing session, doing breathing exercises with Emily Davy, and she was walking me through giving visualization, like, you know, visualizations of, you know, clearing the energy in each chakra points. And she started from the third eye and worked down to the throat chakra, then the heart, solar, and then sacral, and then root. And it was when we started going back up, when I got to the throat chakra and I cleared my throat chakra and started activating it. The next thing I know, she starts walking me through the process of activating the third eye. And there was, I guess the only way, it was a telepathy communication between the two of us. And I was blown away. Like, I'll be honest with you. I wasn't terrified, but it was a bit, you know, alarming. You know, it was like, whoa, wait a minute. Are you, are you hearing or thinking the same thing that I'm thinking? And she's like, you know, we were communicating without even we weren't even really talking. Like, a few words might sputter out, but like you could see it in her facial expressions. Communicating with her face and her thoughts. And I got a little overwhelmed, threw me off balance. But yeah, more than anything, the way my gift is, I feel what other people feel. I don't get visions, and I don't communicate with, you know, spirits. Well, I do. I communicate with source. I have a direct line with source. As a Libra, you know, I walk the middle path, and, you know, I resonate a lot with Archangel Michael, Metatron. And yeah, that's where I get a lot of my strength from, is I pray a lot. And now, actually, I like to envision myself as making my life a living prayer. I give everything to God, you know, all thanks to God. My strength, the people I've met, the experiences, good and bad, it's made me who I am today. And I haven't felt like this in a long time. not since I was a child. And that childlike wonder has come back to me. And I love it, you know. And then that's the thing. It's love. I really do. When I say I love you, I mean it. And I mean, I love everyone, you know. And whenever, because people, when I connect with people and I tell them this and I communicate with them and I allow them to express themselves in any way, shape, or form, whether it be good or bad, ugly, you know, I hold space, or I'll give guidance if I can, you know, and I try to, you know, if they need me to walk them through certain things and relate to them, I can, you know. And I've found that I can relate to just about anybody. And I even, like, I've noticed that I can relate, like, it gets kind of confusing because, you know, the more I learned about the zodiacs, I realized that as a Libra, I could relate to just all the other 11 zodiac signs. Like, I have very strong traits with each one of them. And that allows me to connect with people from all walks of life. It doesn't matter what ethnicity or nationality they have, you know. And like I said, I'm a pantheist, you know. I try to coexist with all of them. And I know that there's truth in each one of these, in each one of these mythos, religions, and spiritualities. There's truth to them all, you know, and there's good and bad in all, you know. I do not discriminate. But yeah, my gift is I feel what other people feel. I can feel their emotions. I can walk into a room and immediately I can tell if they're in a good mood, a bad mood. I can tell if, you know, I know if I need to hold my tongue and be quiet or silent, or I know when I need to be assertive, you know. Now, when I'm off balance, it gets kind of, you know, a Libra who is not in balance, you know, it's not the prettiest picture. I get very emotional. I'm a very emotional person. But yeah,
how do you calm it down?
Actually emptying out, detaching. I focus on reaching that still point, that nothingness, the 0 point, where there's no emotion, there's no attachment to anything. And I empty my mind as much as possible. And then I reach out and I try to get into the flow state. There's the discipline, the surrenderance, and in the middle, there's the flow state. And that's whenever any thought or emotion, I'll acknowledge it. I'll feel it. I'll allow myself to feel that anger or feel that sadness or feel that joy or feel that ecstasy. But instead of trying to hold on to it, I let it go. And I let the next one come. And that's the flow state.
So,
you know?
the discipline is the act of going there. The surrender is being there. And what was the last one? A flow.
The flow in the center. There's a visual representation I'll send you right now. Maybe some way you can
I can put it up.
Yeah, there you go.
I like that. I like simple things. The discipline of doing it.
Following, as you know, I love my means. There it is. I sent it to you through Messenger.
Oh, that's beautiful. Hang on. Yeah, that's Vesica Pisces, but it's labeled. Boom. See it?
Yeah, I can see it. Perfect. Yep.
So really, discipline. What would you? How would you define that word used in this context? Discipline.
It could be applied in different ways. Actually, you could look at discipline as the inner divine masculine, and the surrenderance as the inner divine feminine. And then the yin and yang in the middle path is the flow state. When you integrate your shadow, your light and your shadow, you know, you can apply it in so many different ways. So, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I'm a big believer that the feminine is creation.
Yeah.
The masculine is creator. So the discipline would fulfill that because it's action. And then as I just quickly took that in, you know, the feminine surrender, to me, it's like going back to the first cell or soul, right? And then that essence says, I want to, you know, say it a bunch of different ways, but I want to split. I want to create. So it's created in the image. And then to me, the surrender of creation is, I'm not going to put any bounds on that which I've created because it's me.
Yeah.
And then the whole dance starts, right? The whole positive, negative, dark, light, whatever you want to call it, starts.
And then you find the balance. It's all about the balance, balancing the two out. When you can get into that flow state, and that's what artists do. Art is a meditation in and of its own right. And you can get into a flow state, you know. I'll show you. I do portraits, and I've taught myself how to do just about anything. I can work with just about any medium.
Really?
Paint, pencil. My go-to though is I've always been fond of graphite pencil and so forth. But here is the last portrait I did.
That's graphite?
It's Faber-Castell graphite and Prismacolor color pencils and Faber-Castell art brush pens.
That's just incredible.
Thank you.
What is that? Who is that?
Her name was Karen, actually, and the only thing she told me, well, her face is the only thing that I went off of from the picture that she sent. It was at an old profile picture on Facebook, and I had it blown up so I could actually see it because, you know, the profile picture on my phone is like this. I don't have a laptop or anything like that. But she said she wanted it to be esoteric and magical. So I was like, okay. So I added the earring, which is her zodiac sign, Gemini. I don't know if you can see that. And then I added a rune stone on her neck, which stands for dreams and magic. And then I gave her a solar background, like an astrological background. Or, yeah.
Man. How many of those pieces do you have?
I've never actually, it's been a long time since I've had a portfolio. I did enough artwork while I was locked up that I could cover. I could have my own costume museum if I wanted to.
Do you have a website with your artwork?
No, that's what I'm working on now. My goal now is I want to start my own channel, YouTube page and website where I do portraits, artwork. I really, really have fallen in love with the idea of creating my own oracle deck, designing my own oracle deck.
With your stuff, yeah.
Yeah, because I also, as it turns out, I actually have a pretty natural talent for channeling tarot. And I got that from Emily as well. I've fallen in love with it. As a matter of fact, I just got a new deck today or yesterday, and it is awesome. This is a Divine Masculine Oracle deck or a tarot deck. and I'll show you some of the artwork on it. It's an amazing deck. But I noticed, I got to thinking to myself, you know, there's more and more males, you know, for the most part, tarot has always been geared towards feminines, you know, they cater to the feminine crowds, you know, females, witches, Wiccans, and all that. And not enough men were really into it. But
that probably says something about how
now there's more and more guys.
Yeah, there is more.
Yeah. And so I saw that deck, and I was sitting there, you know, already in the back of my head, I was like, there's got to be a way to gear these things to males. And I noticed that even with tarot readers, there's several that I follow on YouTube. They even have difficulty making sure, you know, finding a way to differentiate males from females, not masculine, feminine, because as you know, we all have a masculine and a feminine side inside of, you know, in us. So I wanted to find a way to draw more men in. And then I saw this deck and I was like, you know what? That's perfect. I have to have this deck. And with that, I want to be able to, not only can I did a reading actually early this morning for Kayla Cagle, and she's a tarot reader as well. And it was on point. She asked me to do it for her and her divine counterpart. And first I did hers, her inner masculine, and then I did her divine counterpart, which his name is Michael. And it was very on point. I even used my Rider-Waite tarot deck as clarifiers, and even the clarifiers confirmed what this deck had pulled out. Here, I'll show you some of the artwork on it.
Have you used that deck yet?
Yeah. Like I said, this morning. Yeah, the artwork is amazing. Very high quality deck. But yeah, I want to be able to start doing tarot reads as well for people.
And you have a knack for it. I know you wouldn't say that unless you did. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've already started here. This is my little mini collection of cards. How do I revert? I forgot how to reverse this.
The little circle. It's the little. There you go.
Sure. These are my tarot cards. This is my romance and shadow deck, my Rider-Waite, very high quality cards. Yeah. Here's the James R. Eads Oracle deck that Emily Davia. This was my very first tarot deck, Oracle deck. Circles of Healing, Peter Moorcover and Scarborough's Angelarium, which I'm in love with it because it's very, very tied to Hermeticism and the Kabbalah, which is.
What's your, if you were going to,
I'm on a podcast right now. I'm setting up this phone right now. All I have is a phone to really operate on, and I just knocked over my stand here. Hang on a second.
No problem.
Okay, there we go. Back in business. Sorry about that, guys.
No, you're good. So if you were going to do like with, you know, obviously you're very committed and in tune, again, purpose driven. If you were going to do a reading, like say you're going to do one for me, what deck would you use and why?
It depends on the energy that I get across. If I felt like you were seeking guidance and life, career, something like that, I would use more the Rider-Waite tarot deck and the actually divine masculine, as well as the steampunk tarot deck is actually very accurate for that.
What's it called?
The Steampunk Tarot by Barbara Moore. This is it's kind of a past and present. You know, steampunk has always been about like incorporating like old vintage stuff with futuristic stuff. So you got the past and the present, they collide, make the future.
Can you do a little one right now? Can you do a little one right now? Just, is there like a short version? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I can do a 3-card spread for you.
I mean, I've seen people pull cards. I'm trying to think if
I'll do a 3-card spread for you.
Okay.
This will be your recent past. Your
which
present.
deck are you using?
I'm going to go ahead and use the steampunk.
Okay.
I've got it out. That's perfect timing for it as well. But 3-card spread will represent, the first card is your recent past. And the middle card is your present. And then the third card will be your near future. And if necessary, I can pull out the Rider-Waite Tarot deck as a clarifier.
Okay.
But here, we'll see what, get this. I got the cards all mixed up. Hang on a second. Okay, perfect. All right.
I didn't know that there was all these different types of tarot cards.
Oh yeah, it's a whole nother universe. Yeah. Oh, that one wanted to come out. Show me the cards I need to see. Show me the cards. Now, normally I would have some sage burning. I'd be a little bit more prepared, but here we go.
You got it.
Yeah. Split the deck. All right. On the bottom of the deck, we have the 3 of Wands in reverse. And then I'll show you the 3 of Wands. This is the 3 of Wands.
So it's on the bottom of the deck. What does that mean?
It's kind of like an overall, a general feel of the energy. So I'll read that out of the guidebook. Most of these decks I'm still learning. But I generally get the feel. You can look at the cards themselves, and even the backdrop, the way they position their hands, the landscape. All these things are little tales. So there's a lot to learn about. I'm still learning, as always, which is another reason why I'm so excited about it. There's just so much more to learn about it. But yeah, we'll go ahead. You got the Hangman in reverse. Okay.
Is that the past, present, or future?
Okay, recent past, Hangman in reversed. Your present, Queen of Swords. That's a good sign. And the Hermit in reversed. So already I'm getting the idea that you're on a mission. You're taking action here in the near future and present. You're on your game. You're on a mission. All right. So let's see. What was that bottom one? Oh yeah, 3 of Wands in reverse. Okay. 3 of Wands. This is my credo. Clarity of vision, strength of will, and unshakable determination. And yes, it is working for me. Yeah. Core meaning, active waiting. The tight balance of his device mirrors the taut line connecting him to the ships. In the vista of his mind, he pulls hand over calloused hand, a thick, rough rope towards him. The ships are coming in, and he leaves nothing to chance. From the shore, he scans the horizon. As he gathers information, adjustments are made to the beacons created specifically for this job. The beacons are masterfully crafted tools, the perfect alchemy of will and logic, of nature and machine. By constantly adjusting his vision and his thinking, he is helping the beacons shine as brightly as possible. Soulogy. Guiding the ship, he wants directly to his port. This is not simply waiting for dreams to come true. This is active waiting. With active being the key word, the waiting part is only true insofar as the ship isn't actually there yet. If there's any card in the deck that expresses the concepts of the law of attraction as popularized by Rhonda Byrne's The Secret, this is it. The card holds a nearly palpable vibrating energy. We can sense his will, and we see that X certainly does mark the spot, the center of energy. At the crux of the three wands, his determination and focus, excuse me, comes together, creating an irresistible magnet, attracting precisely what he wants. When the Three of Wands visits you in a reading, you can be sure that your efforts are nearly ready to pay off. If you are wondering where your ship is, this card lets you know that you should focus and increase the flame of your will to hurry your ship home. It takes tremendous energy to reel in a big fish. So far, so good. Yeah. Now we'll do your recent past, which is the Hangman. A little shift in perception. That's all that was needed. Core meaning, willing surrender to an experience or situation. Victorian era has a reputation for preferring strict control of all things at all times. And really, we modern humans also prefer order to chaos. Knowing what is expected of us and what to expect from our environment allows us to feel secure. We don't need to worry about our general safety and can get on with other, more important things. Inventors, creators, and anyone who has ever had a brilliant idea know that being safe is not always conducive to flashes of genius. Sometimes we need to be turned on our head, figuratively or even literally, rather like our hanged man here. If you turn this card upside down, you notice his legs create the number 4, a symbol of stability, security, and safety, and also in its extreme incarnation of stagnation. Our man has been turned upside down, allowing him to see things from a completely different point of view. The stagnant and uninspired state has been shaken. Allowing himself to be put in this position is a sacrifice of his dignity, his safety, and his worldview. This posture with his feet above his head represents a temporary override of the mind and its analytical approach. The striving for order and rationality is put on hiatus, while the head is associated with logic. Feet correspond to our connection with the earth. The elevation of his feet represents placing higher value on his connection to nature. For a time, he is experiencing the world differently than is his wont. He must remain so long enough to relax, long enough for vines to nurture around his wrists and for nature to cover his chains. In return for his sacrifices, he gains illumination, a moment of intense brightness when everything, at least for a moment, falls into perfect place. If the hanged man pays a visit to your reading, prepare yourself for some sort of epiphany. But first, expect an uncomfortable time. Let go of your safety nets, sacrifice your worldview, and trust the universe. You cannot rush this experience, so you may as well settle down and just take a look around. No doubt things will look different from here. Enjoy the view. Reading tip. Traditionally, the hanged man represents sacrifice and martyrdom, but this can be brought to a negative extreme if the 10 of Swords is present in the reading. This card has also, in the oldest of decks, symbolized a traitor, which could be the case if the 5 of 7 of Swords is present. Thankfully, neither one of those two came up.
Well, if that's the past, that pretty much describes it.
Yeah. Now we're going on to your present, which is the Queen of Swords. I like the Queen of Swords. All right.
I'm glad you like the Queen of Swords. This is probably my last tarot reading ever, but I appreciate it. It's interesting watching you work.
Thank you. All right. Oh, This book is different from the order that they have the cards in. It's
No
a
rush.
little bit confusing sometimes finding the here, I'll go to the table of content, find the Queen of Swords. It's easy to find the minor arcanas, but the major arcanas get a little bit confusing sometimes. Okay, 45. Where are you?
No rush.
Aha. Queen of Swords. Of course, I will accompany you to the private garden. Don't mind the sword. It is just part of the outfit. Core meaning, someone who supports and nurtures new ideas, systems, and communication. Sounds a lot like you. Smart, experienced, and quick, very quick. The Queen of Swords is a faithful friend. Just ask her how she feels about betrayal. You see that she's had experiences, and not all of them were particularly good. If you notice a little coldness about her, some aloofness in her manner, don't judge her as heartless. She has merely found it expedient to protect herself. The lessons she has learned have not only made her stronger, but also made her wary of wasting time. She does not care to dance around the truth and will always be direct with you. If you do not want to know her honest opinion, do not ask for it. She may try to deliver her with the words with care and delicacy, but they may still sting. If she does bring you to the truth and you don't care for it, do not, as so many have done before you, take it out on her. She is not responsible for creating the truth. More than likely, you did it yourself, only for telling it. Truth is not always painful, though. If your idea or plan is a good one, she'll give you more encouragement, along with excellent suggestions for improving it than you could hope for. And yet, for all the hurt she has suffered, she still cares for people and can be quite the lioness, protecting those she loves. Don't give her a reason to turn on you. That sword she carries around is dead useful. With it, she cuts the false from the true, communicates effectively, and slays anyone she wishes to, with impeccable style and grace.
Whew. I'd say that's pretty.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now, your last card, which is the
Okay.
major arcana, the Hermit.
Mm.
Yeah.
What?
Which
Okay.
means you're probably going to sit back. I see you sitting back and really digesting everything and incorporating it, observing it, and really taking in all of what you've learned. All right, here we go. Let's find the Hermit, the Fool. To see the glow of your own light go into the dark. Core meaning, retreating from distractions to determine your own truth. In the great city that was Victorian London, communication was easier than at any other time in human history. Information was shared quickly and there was plenty of it. People were making progress in all areas. Knowledge abounded. Naturally, when one is the recipient of so much data, it is easy to assume that a lot of input equals increased wisdom. Upon reflection, we know that simply is not true. In addition, in the midst of so much intellectual noise, there is the danger of one's own true voice being drowned out. The lights from a city mask the stars from our sight. In order to see them clearly, we move away from the civilized world. The hermit knows that it is necessary from time to time to leave the den of society. Only in quiet solitude he can hear the voice of his heart. Only in the darkness can he see his own light. He stands on what looks like a reechy junk pile. This represents the information, ideas, and philosophies he has collected on his journey. Some of it he discards. It does not resonate with his soul. Like Bruce Lee says, take what is useful, discard the rest. Some of it he discards it. Yeah, we got that part. All of it, though, creates the framework from which he can view the world. All of it, whether he rejected or adopted, in some way adds to his truth. So yeah, there you go. I don't even think you need a clarifier for that. That's why
I don't think so either. I think I just sit here and say nothing. Yeah. Oh, this show is amazing. So, I really feel like we'll spend some time together.
Yeah.
People need to, especially you being a man. There's, a lot of, I like the way you made the distinction of the masculine or the feminine between the male or female and the physical. I've not really heard it put that way, and I can't remember what you said, but energetically, I totally got it. But one of the things that I found out about you is that, your situation with getting medical assistance. And I noticed a post that you'd put up. I think it wasn't recent, but I just was going through your page because your stuff just blows me away. Anyway, we don't have a lot at Soulogy, but we sent over what we could. You've got a fundraiser kind of thing going. And as I was talking to you first about your artwork, and then finding out you're going to put a YouTube together and a website, I don't know who's helping you do that. We might be able to.
I don't really have anybody right now.
But well, we might be able to help you do that. It's not as big of a mountain as you think. We've got some collaborators, and I think that it wouldn't take long. But I just see, and then of course you just did this reading, which I've never really been a big person on readings, but I'm big on energy, and I could just, and of course, what you had to say was you couldn't get any more accurate. But so in terms of I know it's tough for all of us, to ask for things, and then there's a lot of talk about the equal energy exchange that's becoming more and more part of our reality. And again, not to put dollars on that, not to put any type of definition on that, because energy is energy. But looking at your artwork and looking at your abilities, I think it would make a lot of sense to bring more people into your field, to give and receive. Yeah, if you don't have your artwork up online, then by God, let's get it up. And I don't know if do you read for people? Do you have like a venue where you read for people for donation or anything?
No, not yet.
Well, I'm just gonna put it
with go ahead.
No, I just said I'm just gonna put it out there because 3,000 shows we've noticed over the years, and we're not, everyone knows we're not a marketing platform, and we had to get to the point where we couldn't make any exceptions, because every time we did something and broke the rule, we'd get inundated with emails and messages. But I feel really I feel like that. Well, what I know is that people that come on the show, they receive a lot of friend requests and messages and emails, and I just going to put it out there for those that are on the live and on the replay. I mean, obviously, you're highly aligned with the energy field, or the morphic field of tarot. It aligns with your abilities, so I think you have a lot to offer there. And then, of course, your artwork, which we only saw a little bit, is just off the hook. So I would just encourage anyone who's considering reaching out to Alan, consider having an equal energy exchange. you know, for maybe his artwork or for a reading, because he is, probably wouldn't have said anything, but he is, you know, obviously looking to get, I believe, a liver transplant. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, that costs money. So I just felt like I had to say that. And we're living in a time where I think we got to say what's on our mind. And if it's not total alignment, it's not, you know, without shadow, but it's just, you know, putting our heart out there, knowing that our intentions are going to be felt, because I think everybody's empathic abilities are increasing rapidly.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to put that out there, because
Thank
I
you.
know
Thank you.
people will.
I mean, if spirit guides you, yeah, speak it, you know, unapologetically, you know, and I really, really appreciate it. I do.
I know you. You know, I had this thing come up today. What the hell was it? I think it was actually when I reached out to you. There was a word that rhymed with gratitude, and I can't remember what it was. I like to rhyme stuff. Not that I've been doing much of it lately, but it reminded me of you, because when I take in your energy, I just go like, you know, I mean, you think that, especially from coming from a male, and I've been living proof, you know, was a lot louder in the past, and but you think that it's going to be loud, you know, to be illuminated is, you know, and I'm coming from the male psyche, that you got to be loud, because it's such a competitive atmosphere that we've come out of. And like you said, your dad taught you to fight, and you know, there's a lot of us can relate to this type of thing, what you have to do to stand out in that environment. And I think there's a lot of masculine stuff being worked out right now. But anyway, what I was going to say is taking your energy in and realizing how much more illuminated this male, you know, speaking of the collective male, you know, as a whole, transforming from a place of peace.
Yeah. Yeah. In general, I believe that as you, there's that Charlie Chaplin. I can't remember what the movie was.
Oh yeah.
But Charlie Chaplin gives a speech, and that is what I resonate the most with. Everyone's always looking for the alpha male, but what goes overlooked is the omega male. The omega male is an amalgamation of the alpha and the beta, all aspects, your inner feminine, your inner masculine, and being humble and not wanting to rule over one, but to wish that all people, you know, were free and happy. As human beings, we're social creatures. You know, whenever we come across something that makes us feel great, our first instinct is we want to share it with those we care about.
Yeah.
And then when they, you know, when we see them feeling good, we feel even better. And that's the energetic exchange right there, you know?
Yeah.
And that paying it forward creates a ripple effect. And yeah, I actually, if you don't mind, I wouldn't mind reading that quote, that speech by him, if you don't mind.
Please do.
Yeah.
I got a friend in Sedona named Ty, who's got similar energy to yours. You still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just
I know.
jumping over to the quote real quick.
But he says something similar to what you just said, and I still have to sit with this. He says, I can't. I probably don't have the words right, but you know, like a download. You know, a download, or the intel is, I guess, in alignment because it's immediately shareable.
Yeah.
That says a lot to me.
Yeah.
It reeks of the Trinity energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're going to
Right.
read this, the chaplain. Yeah, I haven't seen this in a long time.
Yeah.
There is a video. I think it's entitled "The Greatest Speech Ever," something like that.
Yeah. 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 It's, oh man, every time I actually watch the clip, it kind of moves me to tears. It's like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's the good stuff.
Yeah. Well, holy
But
shit!
yeah,
I guess I better get the Kleenex out because I'm in teetering the whole damn show with your energy.
thank you. Oh, that's, I'm very, very grateful. Very grateful. Thank you so much, Todd. But yeah, here we go. I'm sorry, but I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business. I don't want to rule over or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone if possible. Jew, Gentile, black man, white. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness and not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate and despise one another. In this world, there is room for everyone, and the good earth is rich and can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful, but we have lost we have lost the way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate, has goose-stepped us into misery and bloodshed. We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives us abundance has left us in want. Our knowledge has made us cynical, our cleverness hard and unkind. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, life will be violent and all will be lost. The airplane and the radio have brought us closer together. The very nature of these inventions cries out for the goodness in men, cries out for a universal brotherhood, for the unity of us all. Even now, my voice is reaching millions throughout the world. Millions of despairing men, women, and little children, victims of a system that makes men torture and imprison innocent people. To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass, and dictators die, and the power then took from the people will return to the people. And so long as men die, liberty will never perish. Soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to be, what to think, and what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines. You are not cattle. You are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate. Only the unloved hate. The unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery. Fight for liberty. In the 17th chapel of St. Luke, or 17th chapter of St. Luke, it is written that the kingdom of God is within man, with not one man, not a group of men, but in all men. And you, the people, have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life wonderful, a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world, a decent world that will give men a chance. Sorry, hang on. I'll have to read this blindly for a second. Even now, my voice is, for some reason, it didn't copy all of it. You, the people, have the power to create machines. Let us fight for a new world, a decent world that will give men a chance to work, that will give youth a future and an old age a security. By the promise of these things, brutes have risen to power, but then lie. Then do not fulfill that promise. They never will. Dictators free themselves, but then enslave the people. Now let us fight to fulfill that promise. Let us fight to free the world, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, with hate and intolerance. Let us fight for a world of reason, a world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite. Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a powerful thing.
Yeah. And I believe that in our hearts, in all hearts, that's naturally what we want. That's naturally who we are.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. And I feel those words as, like being real appropriate to the male in this time. It's
yeah. We're not divine masculine. Well, we're divine masculines, and we need to embrace that. But at the same time, embrace our divine feminine as well. Be in tune with it to become the omega male.
Omega male.
You know. And
I didn't know there was such a term.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was trying to find the 0 point between alpha and beta, but I get it. I totally get it. Because actually omega speaks to the infinite letters, infinite letters of the cosmic alphabet, Yeah. But I see a lot of this happening now. It's happening within myself. Thank the universe for men with energy like your own. Yeah, because I've been saying for a long time that there's, not that I know anything, it's just as a sponge of everything that I pick up on from these shows and otherwise, that it's a whole new language. You could say we went from linear to quantum, but it's a whole new sacred geometry. It's a whole new language. And in particular, just very recently, I started to understand that the male is coming from a language in a level of communication that's founded without the feminine. Just bear with me. I wasn't going to share this. I'd shared it with Morgan, some of it, but you got to do what you feel. So when the feminine in physical form was suppressed and subordinated, oppressed and
subjugated,
murdered, wiped out, whatever, in all different ways, religious books and such, the playing field became just male and male versus male,
patriarchy.
Right. Yeah. So you're like what you were talking about, having a fight and just, communicating. And so we're having to learn how to communicate because it's a foreign language. It's like an alien language. And you can just look at the Mars-Venus factor with, male and female. Obviously the feminine carries the intuition. And so it's one thing to read about it, and talk about it, but it's another thing to actually jump in there and try to experience it. It requires a lot of surrender. And I think it's a situation where the men got to work it out together.
Yeah.
Because
we need to empower each other instead of putting each other down or trying to establish a hierarchy amongst ourselves.
Exactly.
We need to lift each other up. You see that happening with women all the time. They lift each other up. They hold each other up. With men, you don't see that.
Well, and see, that's my point, is that so they understand that language. We don't.
Yep.
And it's in us. But if we're trying to communicate, like the female can't teach us, because the
Right.
female hasn't lived in that male versus male consciousness that we
Yeah. Yeah. I see what
incarnated
you're
in.
getting at there.
So
Yeah. That's true.
so you have to sit down. I mean, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just chasing this thread. And
Yeah.
this is an opportunity to speak to someone who's open to that. So it's almost like I can't talk to you and you can't talk to me the way we've known to talk. But somewhere inside of us, that seed is present, and we have it. It's innate. We
Yeah.
just don't have any practice with it.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
so we do this without the bullshit and without the hierarchy and without competition, and it's a frightening proposition.
Yeah. Yeah. Most
It's
people think that it's impossible and that,
no.
things it'll, will devolve into a Mad Max, world. And, it's no.
Well, I mean,
Uh, uh,
it just seems like it's front and center now.
yeah.
Like you said, there's a lot of males joining, uh, whatever you want to call it, the wake up or communities such as
Yeah.
Soulogy or whatever. The numbers are showing that, but it's still, just another level for me, of conscious living. It's
Yeah.
like you learn this, you learn that, but this seems like a really big one to me.
Yeah.
Responsible conscious creation, responsible conscious
I like
creators.
the way you put that. Yeah. Yeah.
So hell of a download.
Right
Hell of a download
on.
with you.
Right
Yeah.
on.
So I appreciate everything that you had to offer today, and I look forward to doing it again.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I like your energy.
I
It's
like yours. I like
Thank you.
yours, and hopefully we can see more and more and more of whatever the hell we just
Yeah.
experienced.
Yeah.
I don't.
Let's get the ball rolling, for everybody,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right on. I'm really glad that I did this with you.
Yeah, me too. So yeah, it's very timely, and it's good stuff. And I guess by all intents and purposes, pretty much an insomniac now. But I'm a
Yeah.
hermit,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
just because I'm doesn't always mean I want to talk.
No,
But
I
yeah,
get it. Yeah.
I sure we'll hook up. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and again, schedule nothing, just
Spontaneity.
ride the vibe, yeah, and see what comes into alignment. But I love you, brother, and I'm
Love you
proud of
too,
you.
man. Thank you.
Proud of you.
And I'm proud of you. I think what you're doing is awesome. I really, really, really like I like what you're doing. This
Mm.
Soulogy, all of it.
I like what you're doing.
I'd like to contribute to it in any way I can.
Yeah. All right, man. Let me just remind everybody on the live and the replay that if you haven't seen it all, you should watch it again and look. I had a piece of art that was just absolutely amazing. He's got a whole Akashic hall full of artwork, and I don't even know if you were planning on marketing it, but it'd be a great way to create a win-win with your situation, with your medical challenge, and also even though you don't have a website or you're actively out there doing it, a great demonstration, if you didn't see it, of a reading that you're definitely cut out to do, that maybe people could make a contribution towards what you're trying to accomplish, because we definitely need you, in my opinion, incarnated on this planet during this transition. And I have a feeling that you will be. So
Thank you.
What part of Missouri are you in?
Right now I'm in Florissant, Missouri, in a nursing home.
Okay, just so I know, just in case. I don't plan on going anywhere since I'm in the hermit mode, but you never
Yeah.
know. But
Hey,
I'll reach out to you. I got a couple of things I'm going to send to you.
okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
Till the
Thank
next
you.
time, brother. You take care.
Namaste. In Lakesh.
All right, brother.